Alright guys, so for this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the turn and what's important about it, some things to be thinking about when you're working on it, all that kind of good stuff, okay? So what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a turn, right, is I'm talking about we've already loaded, we've strided, and we're looking to get our barrel on path to swing through the zone, okay? So a couple things to be thinking about, right? One thing I wanted to talk about is the misconception with what keeping our hands in means, right? You guys hear that a million times as a young baseball player. Keep your hands inside the ball, okay? So the important thing to think about with the turn is this is where we are going to keep our hands inside the baseball, okay? So if we have a nice tight turn here and our hands stay from right here where they're starting and don't move out, then that's considered keeping our hands inside the ball. Secondly, even as a 9U, you guys have done this so many times that I guarantee if we turn tight and we keep our hands here, this movement more than likely won't happen unless we're not on time, okay? So again, that's where I talk about timing being the most important thing, right? But anyway, so we're going to talk about the turn on this one. One little progression that I like to start with when working on this, right, is using a frisbee or a bucket lid like I got or whatever you want to use, right? Okay, so I'll show you a little bit of this progression. So one last point I want to make, guys, when we talk about keeping those hands in, okay, is I tell hitters a lot of times this is something that happens without your brain even thinking that it's happening. If your first move is here with our hands and we're going out before we decide to turn, what your brain is going to do, because you've been told so many times, get your hands in, is your hands are going to go from way out here, and they're going to cut all the way in to try to get tight to your body. Then we're shortening that swing, and I'm pulling my front side out, all because I didn't just want to turn tight and stay through the ball with those hands in. Okay, so again, very important that our hands in starts with this nice tight turn. Okay? Okay, so we got our bucket lid here, right? I've done this a couple times with players, but I think, you know, some gets lost in the translation a little bit. All right, so with this turn, all it basically is like I'm driving the bus and I want to turn the wheel to the right. I want to turn my car to the right-hand side, so I'm going to go like this, okay? So all we're going to do from this position is turn those hands. My lead arm is going to continue to lead this swing out. My back arm is going to get underneath and propel that swing forward, okay? So again, try not to let your hands go forward when you do this because you're losing tension in your core. You're losing power. So we want to do this as far back as our body will let it happen, and then we're just going to ride the hips all the way through the swing, okay? The last thing I want to talk about is you want to make this turn as high as you can. Now, I don't want to start my hands here, take them higher, but if my hands start here, this is exactly where that turn is going to start, okay? That's what when you hear a lot, keep your hands above the baseball. Again, the turn is where all that starts. If I do this and my hands drop, that's going to be trouble to get to this pitch I've got right here. Then I got to either swing up on it or try to raise my hands at the last minute or do whatever I got to do, right? So if we start our hands high, I can always kind of bail down to something lower if I need to, or bend this back knee and hit something low if I need to, okay? So turning your hands high and in the back half of your body is very important, okay? So let me show you how this translates to the bat. So now that we've got a little bit of progression, all right, I usually like to do this with a high T when you get the bat in your hand. Again, just to kind of promote that high turn, starting high, and then if we need to, we can always dip our bat down into the zone and hit something while keeping our structure, okay? So again, I'll go no stride. So I'll go ahead, gather, get my stride, tight turn through, okay? Show you one more. Do it almost like a pause drill, okay? So we can isolate this turn in the top half, okay? So one more time. Gather, stride. Tight turn, high in the zone, staying through, hands above the ball. All right, so hope this helps you guys. Again, that turn is key to the swing, all right?